There are two audio options for this webinar. Option one is your computer speakers. This is the default, and most of you are probably listening through them currently. Option two is by telephone. This is my telephone. Go to the webinar control panel, expand the audio portion of the control panel, and click on the telephone radio button. Then dial the number shown and enter the access code when prompted. Get your Glacier Staff Season Pass today. The Silver Staff Season Pass is only $397. The Platinum Staff Pass is $497. Go to glazierclinics.com for more information. Glacier Staff Season Pass includes Glacier Clinics Online, which gives coaches password secure access to tons of notes and presentations from elite speakers. They're topic focused. There's multi-speaker e-clinics with film and over 250 recorded webinars just like this one. The Season Pass also includes discounts from some of the top football vendors. Some of the vendors offering great discounts on their products and services are Huddle, Sports Decals, and Rogers Athletic. You can find the complete list at glazierclinics.com. Huddle, prepare, execute, dominate. Start your 30-day free trial today. The breakdown, unlimited game video, create tendency reports, telestrate, and create highlights, and more. Huddle's newest features are available until your next invoice is due. They are available under the Coaching Tools tabs on your account for only $199. Build your complete playbook online and prepare weekly with practice scripts. Take your video anywhere with Huddle's free mobile apps on iOS, Android, and Windows devices. In addition to your full library, check out the new tag game feature to complete 10-down breakdown calls in real time during the game. Huddle's mobile apps are available for coaches and players. You're one team meeting away from having Huddle for free. Check out Huddle's newest and easiest way to raise money for your team without leaving your computer at huddle.com/campaigns. Campaigns build awareness for your team's cause with a custom page that gives your fans a chance to contribute money instantly. Programs all over the nation are implementing guarding caps for their practices, and they're seeing positive results. Helmets are built for the big hit, but the guarding cap is designed to reduce the impact of all the smaller day-to-day blows to your head, bodies, knees, and hands of your interior guys, your linemen, your linebackers, your fullback. Sneak and coach out the contact where you can, but use guarding caps for the incidental blows that will happen on the inside. Visit us at guardingcaps.com to learn how you can try the guarding caps with your guys in 2015. Since 1968, football coaches have trained youth, high school, college, and professional champions by making Rogers Athletic football training sleds and dummies an important part of their practices. Football practice drills on Rogers equipment help coaches teach players fundamentals by limiting the amount of live contact to give your athletes the confidence to practice with game day aggressiveness. We also supply all your football field equipment from goalposts to change room sets to give your stadium that professional look. If you're a youth coach, check out our line of youth football training equipment at rogersathletic.com. In today's game day experience, the need for wireless has expanded beyond the sidelines. Understanding the type of wireless technology being developed in your stadium is key to ensuring a successful sideline experience. Whether it's fan, Wi-Fi, cell towers, or referee communications, CoachComm's headset products offer proven solutions that coexist with a crowded and ever environment on game day. Your coach's headsets play a vital role in your team's on-the-field success. Therefore, it's important to make the right investment into your program's future. For more information on how CoachComm can be a part of your program, contact them at 1-800-749-2761 or visit them at coachcomm.com. Coach's Choice is the way to go if you're looking for the best instructional books and DVDs. They have a full library of instructional material for many different categories. To access these videos, visit their website at coacheschoice.com. All right, coaches, I appreciate your patience. It looks like we're still a few minutes out from Coach coming to the webinar. Let's give him a few more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hop off here for a second, and I'll come on with an update here pretty soon. Thanks, guys. Hey, Coach, can you hear me? Coach, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Coach.
Yes,
Can
you hear me?
Yes, sir. We're here. My name is Ethan with Glazier. We're all here whenever you're ready, whenever you're set up. You let me know, and I'm going to give you control of this. I'm going to give you control of the screen when you're ready, and then you can just take it away, do your presentation, then we'll do questions right after.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. I'm good to go. Just tell me what I need to do from here.
Okay. So there's going to be a button that pops up on your screen that'll say "Show my screen." Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to see your computer screen here in a second after you push it. So, yep, we see your screen. So if you just want to pull up your PowerPoint, and take it away. So Coach, welcome. We're looking forward to your presentation. So we'll do questions at the very end of your presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys are ready?
Yes, sir. Go.
All right. Okay. All right. First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me. Aaron Drago, Henderson State University. And we're going to talk about pressures from the 3-4 defense, our pressures here at Henderson State. First off, just some stats from last year. 2014, we were 14th in the nation in sacks with 34, 25th in the nation in tackles for loss with 89 out of 148 Division II teams. Defensive objectives. Obviously, always just to prevent points. You know, it's our job to stop them no matter where the ball is. It's our job to stop them, so we always want to just make sure we prevent points and keep those guys from scoring at least one more than we do. Score, force turnovers, and force advancements in great field position. How to get that done. Put your best players in position to make plays. Scheme that is simple. We always say, if you're thinking, you're stinking. So we want to make sure that our scheme is simple, but yet multiple. We need to be able to obviously align to all the formations and personnel groupings and things that people have given us. Confuse the offense through movement and disguise. We're really, really big on that. We want to make sure that we're always moving and also giving that quarterback a great disguise back there. When we line up, we try to make everything look the same, 2 on the roof, and then we'll roll our coverages or come down and play press and go back and just always moving. That's not just in the front, but in the back end as well. Use great technique. We spend a lot of time here in our individual periods making sure that we work technique, that our guys are technique sound, and we always tell them that, if everything else is going wrong for you, your technique will get you through. So we try to give them the tools they need to go out each and every day and compete at a high level with great technique. Pressure the offense, calculated, not reckless. Making sure we always have a plan, understanding how we attack personnel groupings, formations, as well as pass protections and things of that nature. Create mismatches. We try to do that through film study and see if there's a guy that we feel has a deficiency that we can exploit. So that's something we try to do a great job of during the week, is finding those mismatches. Defend their best formations. Obviously, we want to stop what they do. scheme to defend their best players. I think that, again, that all goes back to great film study through the week. Out-prepare your opponent, work smarter than your opponent. Why the 3-4? Opportunity to put your best players on the field. I know for us, when it comes to recruiting, to be able to have a wide range of players that we can get on the field, big guys are always tough to find. And so, we try to make sure that, the ones we do find are good players, solid players, but we feel like those outside backers, inside backers, safeties, DBs, and the region that we recruit in, there's a lot of those guys, obviously more so than the big guys, so that gives us an opportunity to recruit a lot of good athletes and get speed on the field. Disguise flexibility, ability to slant to other fronts. That's one thing that I think has really helped defenses as offenses have always continued to develop over time. The 3-4 with the spread and everything, the 3-4 gives you the ability to line up to all those different spread formations and the things that people are doing these days and offensively. A great nose can control the game. I had a coach tell me one time, if you want to be good, you want to be good down the middle. Running back, quarterback, center, nose, Mike backer, free safety. And that nose guard for us in what we do is huge. He's put a guy that has to touch the ball every play before the quarterback, so we want to make sure that, that guy's a hammer in there, and he's going to put pressure on that center at all times. O-line has to face a D-line that will two-gap, shade, or slant. Again, when it comes to recruiting, we want those guys that, have some quick twitch, have a little Z in the knee, and can move and create problems for offensive linemen when it comes to athletic ability. Offense can become confused, become unfamiliar with the scheme. Again, giving them a lot of different looks up front. Offense must spend more time in preparation. Pass rush mismatches are created outside linebackers, backers, guards, and tackles. Offense must account for 7 potential immediate rushers, 5 on the line of scrimmage. Easier to blitz defensive backs. Drops are replaced by linebackers instead of D linemen. That was something that being able to bring those guys, those athletes, those fast guys, it's a different animal when those guys start coming off the edge or inside at a different speed. So we like to do a lot of that. Easier to make coverage adjustments against empty, and we'll see some of that as we move forward. Okay, what we're going to talk about is Boundary, Lightning, Sky, or Deuce. Now, Boundary Lightning for us is a 5-man zone pressure. But when we get 2 by 2, and I'm going to start, we see so much spread in this league, and I'm going to start, and we've done this with our guys. We used to start with 21 personnel and work our way down from there, but this past spring we started with 10 personnel and worked our way up. We just see it so much. It's something we're going to see on the first day when we go out to practice. It's something that we see probably more than anything throughout the year. So that's where we start at. And anytime we get 2 by 2, we're going to be in our sky coverage, which is 3 under, 3 deep. And anytime we get 3 by 1, we're going to check Deuce, which is a 4 under, 2 deep concept. Some key terms. You got Roscoe and Lester. Now, that's a directional call that the linebackers will give to alert those guys which way they're moving. Now, when we make the Roscoe and Lester call, we're going to call the direction of the blitz, and the defensive line is going to move opposite. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Short stick is a 1-gap charge by the defensive lineman. A long stick is a 2-gap charge by defensive lineman, and I'll talk a little bit about how we coach that. And then chase the stick is a phrase used to describe the inside blitz path that we use by our linebacker. And then a nail stunt is a phrase that we use to describe our outside blitz path. And then skiff is a seam curl inside flat, and that's a coverage that we'll use when we're in sky with our rover. So let's go ahead and move forward with this. Now, basically what this is, our boundary lighting is our NCAA blitz. I know everybody runs it. We're going to talk a little bit about how we do it. But again, right here, what we got is 2x2. And we got the Will, who is running the nail stunt. We got the right end, who is running the long stick. Our nose is short sticking. Remember, that's a one gap charge. And our left end is short sticking out for contain. The Mike linebacker is running to chase the stick. And then we're playing our sky coverage, which is our 3 under 3 deep. What you got here, our left end, again, he's a 4 technique. He's running the short stick in the C gap. When he gets run away, he's trail, cut back, reverse, and pass. He is our contained rusher. So important to get that guy out there. We give him a landmark of about 7 yards when we run that short stick out there for contain. We tell him to get up the field, try to work to an area of about 7 yards up the field to make sure that he pushes everything back to his to the pressure. The nose, again, is short sticking. Again, when we run that short stick, it's going to be a short, flat movement inside, and he's landmarking the armpit of that center. If that armpit comes at him, if it's the left armpit, as we're looking at it from the defensive side, comes at him, then he's going to be right back up vertical right now. If that armpit moves away, he may have to cross over, dip, rip, and lean to get up in that A-gap, but he has got to get in that A-gap. Our right end, who's running the long stick into the A-gap, what we tell that right end is he wants to key. Now, we're in the Okie position, so we're a head up 4, a head up 0, and a head up 4 at the defensive line positions. And now that right end, he is keying the ear hole of the guard. All right, if that guard ear hole disappears inside, he's coming flat right off of his butt, okay, down the heel line. If that ear hole is at him, he is going to dip, rip, and he is going to be in the inside armpit of that guard. So we don't even talk about the tackle. It is just understood when we run that long stick that he's going to get across the face of that tackle. We cannot get cut off in that B gap right there by the tackle. So, again, no different than the nose runs it. It's a short, flat step inside, and we're keying that armpit. If that armpit's coming to us, then we're back up the field and ripping into the inside armpit of the guard. If that ear hole disappears inside, then I'm flat off of his butt. Now, the mic, you can see we've got the mic is in a 30 alignment. We do loosen him up a little bit. We just feel like maybe loosening him up almost to a 40 gives him a little bit of a better angle to run what we call chase the stick. And basically what I tell those backers is they're B-gap blitzers, but what they need to understand is when we say chase the stick, they are chasing the long stick by that defensive end. And there's sometimes on tape that you'll see when that defensive end and that Mike linebacker are almost right in line with one another, then you know those guys are getting ready to fit it pretty good. And that's what we talk about when chasing that stick. Now, if he gets that tackle out, that's an easy read for him. He's inside. It does get a little hairy sometimes when you get the tackle down, and we just try to make sure we do the best job we can to fitting up in that V gap. Our Sam linebacker. Now, our Sam linebacker, if it's 2x2, he is going to match number 3, okay? He is going to match number 3, so he's going to drop off the back. If we had the back on the other side, then he would drop off the back over here, but he is matching number 3 in coverage. And the one thing we tell him in the run fit is we want to make sure he is not too fast over there to the blitz side, okay? So in this case right here, if the field's to the left and it's boundary light and we're coming from the boundary, okay, then that Sam backer is going to give a Roscoe call to the defensive line. That's alerting them that they're going to be moving. The blitz is coming from the right, so they're going to be moving left. And we make sure we tell him in the run fit not to be too fast over there where the blitz is coming from, because all those gaps should be filled up over there. If that ball pops anywhere, it's going to pop back over here away from the blitz. Willie linebacker. Now, the Willie linebacker is going to be in a loose 5, and he is running the nail stunt. The nail stunt to him, what that tells him is he is a high wall contained rusher. And basically what we're doing, we're on top of all blocks, and we're working to the quarterback's upfield shoulder. His main job is to make sure that that blitz goes inside. That everything that they do offensively comes inside of that blitz. He's here to turn it back to the end, to the nose, and to the mic. And if he does that, then he's done his job. But we're going to also landmark, and if this was any zone read, he would be the quarterback player. Okay. Our field corners, 1x8. And our free safety is going to be 10 to 12 yards deep and 2x2. And they're our middle field dropper. Our rover is going to be a skiff player. And you go back and look at what we talked about with skiff, fifth, seam, curl, inside flat. And then we have our boundary corner is going to be 1x8. Now, if we get 3x1, okay, if we get 3x1, the blitz is still on. Boundary corner is now going to play trap. Our free safety is our middle third player. Our nickel. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost y'all there for a second. Okay, our nickel is going to be a skip of 2. Again, now the Sam is going to drop off a 3. Free safety's high. Our rover's rolling down. Let's look at some other formations here. Okay, same thing. Empty 2x3. Blitz is still on. We got the long stick by the defensive end, short stick by the nose, short stick by the end. And now our Sam is dropping off a 3. And something we can do here that we do with our inside backers, if we get 3x2, and we get empty where they got the trips to the boundary there, we'll switch it up so that Sam backer doesn't have such a long way to go to drop off a number 3. All right. Same thing in our Jets personnel, which is just 11 personnel to us. The Will backer now is going to be coming outside. He's going to be in a 9 technique. We still got the short stick, and that rover is going to be dropping off a number 2 here, the tight end, but he's also going to be C-gap conscious. All right, let's move. All right, here we go. Now we got our duo here, which is just ace personnel. Again, we're playing Deuce to any 3x1 and Sky to any 2x2. All right, let's move on. We got Boundary Cyclone 1 green, which is a 5-man pressure. In 3x1, we're running Cyclone, and in 2x2, we're checking Lightning. In Boundary Cyclone 1 green, key terms, again, we'll have the Roscoe and Lester call. We'll have a short stick, again, by the defensive line, 1 gap charge by the D-line, a long stick, 2 gap charge by the D-line, and a cut stunt is a phrase used to describe the inside blitz pass, and that's going to be the will linebacker when we run Cyclone. Now, if it's 2x2, we will go back and check Lightning. Now, we're in 1 green, and the reason we're in 1 green, in our cover 1, we have more, we have different cover downs, and that's what the different colors are for. But we are playing man-to-man with a single high safety. So now we got 2x2, we're running Lightning. So we'll get the long stick out of the right end. It'll be a Roscoe call because it's still coming from the boundary. We'll get a long stick by the defensive end. The Michael chases stick. Now the will run the nail stunt, okay? And then we still got the left end is our contain over there. He's short sticking out for contain. In 3x1, is where we run Cyclone. All right. The right end is going to be long sticking, and now the will is going to run what we call a cut stunt. Basically what that will is going to do is he's going to attack that tackle, and he's reading the ear hole of that tackle. If that ear hole comes out, then he is up underneath into the B gap. If that ear hole disappears inside, he's flat off of his butt, running the heel line. If it was zone read, he would play the dive. The boundary corner is going to be no different than our Willie is when he runs the nail stunt. Okay, he is our contained rusher. So if it was zone read, the will backer would take the dive, and the boundary corner would take the quarterback. Okay, but that's only happening in 3-by-1. All right. Let me move down here. So here we go. If you start looking at empty first, now here's what I was talking about that we can do sometimes in lightning. If we've got empty here, okay? All right, so obviously we're going to be checking lightning. The will is going to be running the nail stunt. The defensive end is long sticking. The nose is short sticking, and the other end is short sticking out for contain. That Mike, instead of having him run the chase the stick, because he's got number 3 to his side, he's going to adjust out, and he's going to take number 3, and we'll switch it up and let the Sam backer run the chase the stick from the other side. The rover is man-to-man on number 2. The boundary corner is man-to-man on number 1. Like we said, the Mike backer's man-to-man on number 3. The nickel is man-to-man on number 2, and the field side corner is man-to-man on number 1. If we got empty to the field, works out a little bit better here. Now the Mike can chase the stick. You still have the will running the nail stunt. The Mike is going to chase the stick. The right end is going to run the long stick. Nose is short sticking. Defensive end to the left is short sticking. Sam's going to adjust out, and he's going to take number 3 man-to-man. Nickel's going to take number 2. Field side corner is going to take number 1. And the free safety's high. Again, we'll be giving Roscoe or Lester calls to tell the guys where the blitz is coming from. It's easy when it's boundary is part of the call because they know it's always going to come from the boundary. But again, we have some other things where we come from the tailback side or the tight end side, and because those things can change, it helps those guys out a little bit more if we give those Roscoe and Lester calls. But again, the Roscoe and Lester denotes where the blitz is coming from, and the defensive line will move opposite. 11 personnel. Again, if we get a 2-by-2 here and we have the tight end to the boundary here, then we will run the Cyclone. Okay, we will run the Cyclone. The will is going to run the cut stunt from a 6 technique position, and we tell him to align for success. So if he's got to cheat in some to get in there, we'll slide him down and make sure that he can get in that B gap. Defensive end is going to be running the long stick. Nose is short sticking, and the left end is going to be short sticking out for contain. The boundary corner is going to be running the nail stunt or contain rush. The rover is going to roll down and take that number 1 man-to-man. And here's where our green comes into play. Our Mike linebacker now is going to take the tight end man-to-man, and the Sam will have the back man-to-man. Now there's something, if you get that back and the tight end together on the same side, then what we'll do is we can call a hover call between the Sam and the Mike, and they can switch up responsibilities so they don't get picked if we get the back and the tight end together on the same side. That's something we do all the time just to make sure those guys don't get picked and give them the easiest path to their coverage. Over here, same thing. Okay, now we got the tight end. The will again is going to run the cut stunt. Defensive end short sticking, nose is short sticking, left end is short sticking. The Sam backer is going to take the back. Mike's going to take the tight end. The boundary corner's running the nail stunt. The rover's rolling down, taking number 1. And nickel has number 2 man-to-man. and the field corner has number 1 man-to-man, the free safety is high. Okay? In jets. Now, any 2x2, okay, and if there's a wide number 2 to the boundary, we're going to check lightning. So now the will is going to run the nail stunt. The defensive end is going to run the long stick. All right, Mike is going to chase the stick. The nose is short sticking. The left end is short sticking. The nickel now is going to have the tight end man-to-man, and the sandbacker is going to have the back. Again, in this situation, right, we can hover this between the Sam and the nickel. So if the back were to swing, the nickel would take him and the Sam would take the tight end. That's something they communicate. The nickel will make the call always, or and if it's the Will and the Mike, or the Sam and the Mike, the Sam will make the call. But that's something that we'll do anytime we get the back and the tight end together on the same side. Right, trips here again, single width over here to the boundary. So we'll be running the Cyclone. Boundary corners running the nail stunt. The Will's running the cut stunt. The defensive end is running the long stick. Mike has got the back man-to-man. The nose is short sticking. The left end is short sticking out for contain. Sam has got number 3. Nickel's man-to-man on number 2, and the free safety is man-to-man on number 1. Field corner's man-to-man on number 1. The free safety is high. Okay, and again, between the rover and the Mike, they can have a hover call. So this would be an example of where we could get the hover. Again, if you get the back swing, the rover would take the back out, and Mike would work to the tight end. Jets trips. Now the back's strong, so we wouldn't have a hover call, but the blitz would still be on. Cyclone would still be on, so we're bringing the boundary corner. The Will backers running the cut stunt. Defensive ends run the long stick. Nose is short sticking. Defensive end is short sticking. Mike's got the back man-to-man. Sam is going to relate to number 3. He's got him man-to-man. And Nickel's got number 2 man-to-man. And the field side corner has number 1 man-to-man. The free safety's high. Jets tray. Again, single width, so the boundary corner is on. He's running the nail stunt. The Will's running the cut stunt. Defensive end short sticking. The nose is short sticking. Defensive end is short sticking for contain. The Sam with Jets tray, the tight end trips over here. The Sam is going to adjust out, and he will play a 9 technique on this tight end, and he has him man-to-man. Nickel has number 2 man-to-man. The field corner has number 1 man-to-man. Free safety is high. All right, that's it. If there's any questions, I'll take them now.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks so much. Coaches, if you have any questions for Coach, go ahead and submit them in the webinar control panel. You'll see that questions tab, and just type them in there, and I will ask Coach over the phone here. Let's just give it 1 minute and get some questions flowing here, Coach.
Okay.
Coach, we had a question come in. What's your recommendation when you have undersized athletes in this specific defense?
Undersized athlete at what position? Is there any specific position he's talking about, or just overall?
Probably the secondary.
Well, for us, the anytime you have any undersized athletes, and this was, I've always felt this way, and this holds true with our guys as well, and it can go all the way from the defensive line to linebackers or secondary. If those guys are undersized, I always feel like movement is more efficient than being a sitting duck, you know. So if I am undersized at any position, I would like to think that I have some athletic ability over maybe a larger or bigger guy. So we always try to move those guys and keep them moving, whether it's with pressures. You know, even when I was in the 4-2-5, if we felt like we were undersized, we couldn't sit there and play base. What we would try to do is activate those guys, and hopefully what you lose in size, you hope to gain with speed and athleticism, and put that in play by moving those guys.
That's awesome. Next question that came in on Cyclone against Jets trips. Who has strong B run responsibility?
Yeah, well, and let's see which he's got. Yeah, and I tell you what, the way that works out is hopefully with that cut stunt. You got to remember now when I explain the cut stunt, that guy's going to wind up being the B gap player. Now he may do it from, if that tackle fronts him out, if that tackle turns to that Willie backer, he's going to wind up being in the B gap. Okay. If the tackle goes down, he's going to wind up taking the B gap from the backside. Now, the B gap on the other side, that Sam Backer is the B gap player. Now, what we'll do if we get an over split and he can't feel like he can fall into that B gap and make a play, then we will go zero and let the free safety take number 3. If they oversplit us and get us in a situation where we can't handle that B gap, but typically he'll try and stack that defensive end and maybe be slightly wider because he is playing inside man technique. But if he's in a position where he can't fall back in that B gap, then we will go straight zero and let the free safety take number 3 and let the Sam make sure he takes care of that B gap. But, you know, we also want to make sure, too, is that defensive end short sticks out there that, you know, he's going to short stick and get up the field, but he's going to try to, if he feels pressure, he's going to try to restrict that B gap a little bit as well. It is a little bit of a hairy situation there. I agree. It is not, this isn't a stunt that, you know, if you're getting a lot of run over there to the trip side, that Sam is not in an advantageous position to play that B gap, but he is responsible for it. He is the B gap player.
That's awesome. Next question. How much do your defensive players move around pre-snap?
Well, you know, it really depends. Usually with the defensive line, we're an Okie team. So that means we're going to play with a head-up 4, a head-up nose, and 2 head-up 4 techniques. And we tell those guys, you know, we'll do some stemming and prowling, but we've got to make sure that we're exactly where we need to be when the ball snaps. We typically don't like to move those guys as much as we do that Sam and that Mike and that Willie. We give those guys a little bit of freedom to get around. So I would say that, you know, it really just depends on the week. Because if you've got a team where you're getting a lot of motions and shifts and stuff like that, we do less. When you play someone who doesn't move around a whole bunch offensively, then we feel like we can take advantage of some things by giving them some different looks. So that's kind of the rule of thumb that we use. If they do a whole lot of moving, we probably will not, because we want to make sure that we're in the right spots lined up when that ball snapped or when those guys get reset. But if they are pretty stationary out of the huddle and not a whole lot of motions and shifts, then we feel like we can change some targets by doing some moving before those guys, after those guys get set. So that's typically the rule of thumb on that.
That's awesome. Next question is, any concerns about trip receivers crisscrossing versus man coverage? Will you ever go to zone?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's always an issue. We stuff that we do when we feel like we're going to get a lot of those routes where we kind of play some bracket stuff, or maybe we'll press one of the receivers and in and out the other two guys. First guy's going to take the in cut, second guy will take the out cut, and we try to press one of those guys, whether it's the outside receiver or the two inside receivers. So yeah, we definitely, that's always a concern in man coverage, is the crossing routes, and we try to eliminate that by kind of like what we talked about with that hover technique. We're just doing it outside on the edge. So if we feel like those guys are in tight enough that maybe pre-snap it looks like that we're going to get some type of crossing routes, then we can use that same hover philosophy on the edge with our secondary guys. Or, like I said, what we can do is we'll try to press one of the guys, be it the number 2 in the trips or the number 1 in the trips, and play some in and out with the other 2 guys to try to eliminate some of that stuff. But yeah, it's always a concern. Always a concern. And really, to me, we call it spreading the blanket. If we're getting a lot of that crossing stuff, we know we're going to do it during the week, and we're going to try to spread the blanket best we can. And basically, that just means we're going to try to match the routes as they come to us without us having to cross each other's path in coverage.
That's awesome. Next question: where is the responsibility of the outside slanting defensive end? Is he getting a piece of the tackle, or is he simply containing?
Well, that's a great question, because it really depends a lot. On down and distance and really what we feel like we're going to get. And we talk to our guys. We can make a call, and we call it Mustang. And when we say Mustang, that means we're telling those guys up front that we're really thinking pass, and we really want to make sure we get up, get vertical, get gone. We're not trying to fit anything. We're ripping and getting vertical and making sure that we have contained. Now, if we're not in Mustang and we feel like that maybe this could be as easily a rundown as it is a pass down, then we're a little bit more controlled as we step. Because you got to remember, we're in a head-up 4 technique, so we're going to step with that right foot. If I'm the left end, I'm going to step with that right foot, and I'm going to work to that outside armpit. But if I feel pressure pushing me out, I'm going to apply my rule and fight back into that pressure and try to constrict that B gap. That's what we were talking about with the Sam on run. Now, so if we don't make a Mustang call, then that's kind of how we'll fit it up. It's more of a controlled step and contained movement, as it is if we're in Mustang, where it's giddy up and go and set that wall and get vertical and hell. And we tell those guys, if we're in Mustang, we don't even want to be touched. We want to just get going, get vertical, get up the field, and build a wall. But if we are not in Mustang, then we have to be conscious as we step to a contained position to keep our head and arm outside, head and arm free, that if we feel pressure, we may have to fight back into that pressure and constrict that B gap inside.
That's awesome. Next question: in jet trips, would you blitz the Sam and have the free safety come down?
Yeah. If in Jet's trip in Cyclone, is that what they're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And we absolutely can. Let me go back and say this. I want to add that when we talked about the nail stunts, we talk about the cut stunts. The next stunt that we add into our repertoire of secondary or second-level players is a dog stunt. So the nail stunt is a contained rusher. The cut stunt is a low heel rusher. And the dog stunt is an inside B-gap rusher. And so you have those are really the 3 angles that we attack at: nail, cut, and dog. And what we could easily do there is run that Sam on a dog stunt and let the free safety take number 3, or we can let the Sam take number 3 and let the free safety run the dog. And we have the ability to do that by tagging those players with one of those 3 type of attack angles.
Awesome. On the long stick, if the ball direction goes away, do the linemen cross face or spin out?
Well, our D-line guy is not a big spin out guy. He does not like those guys to to spin out and turn their back to the ball. Now, I've been some places where we have, but the one thing that we tell those guys, and listen, that's what I want to make sure those guys understand, the biggest thing on that long stick is that those guys don't get too hatted. So if I am keying the ear hole of the guard and that guard ear hole is at me, I've got to make sure my next step, I'm putting a foot in the ground and I'm hitting the brakes and I'm getting back up vertical as that armpit comes to me. As the inside armpit of the guard comes to that long stick, he cannot make sure he does not run into the center or get cross-faced by the center. He has got to get back up vertical right now to make sure he doesn't get too hatted. So he should see it coming. We really don't feel the need to spin out, because here's what's happening. When we fit this thing, the way we see it is we're gapped out over there. As soon as guys spin out of a gap, they better make sure the ball is past the point of no return before they spin out of a gap. Now, that's why we really don't teach it. We would much rather them fit and hold and anchor than spin out, because if everybody's where they're supposed to be, then we should be gapped out over there. But, again, the key thing that we teach there is reading that ear hole or reading the armpits. Those are the two landmarks we give those guys. And I like the armpits because I think at the level at which they're moving at, they can really see that armpit. If the armpit's coming at them, okay, the near armpit's coming at them, then they know their next step's going to be vertical up the field, and they're fitting on the inside armpit. If the outside armpit disappears inside, then they know they're flat off the butt of the guy that just disappeared inside, off that armpit that just disappeared inside. So they should be able to see those things as they happen. It's their secondary key. The ball's their first key. Their secondary key is going to be the ear hole, the armpit of that guard coming at them.
Awesome. Next one is describe the technique of the ends and nose as they move in either a short stick or a long stick. Are they
okay? Great,
through?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely, love to. Okay, so what we tell those guys, okay, they're going to have a little less weight on their hands, okay, if they're moving, okay, not enough to where it's so noticeable, but they want to have a little less weight on their hands. They want to have more weight on the inside balls of their feet. And more so, really, if they're moving to the left, okay, then they want to have some weight on that outside foot, because what they're going to do, it's going to be, if it's a short stick, it's a short, flat step, okay? It's a short, flat step. I want to keep my knees close to my chest, okay? I want to keep my knees close to my chest, and I want my eyes to find my secondary key, okay? So if it's the nose, then his secondary key is going to be the armpit of that guard. If he knows he's stepping to the left, it's going to be the left armpit of the center, okay? All right? If that center's armpit crosses his face, then he's back up vertical right now. That keeps him from being too hatted or running into the guard, all right? Now, if he takes that short, flat step again, he's got his chest close to his knee. His eyes are transitioned now to his secondary key, which should be the armpit. If I'm moving to the left, it's the left armpit of the center. And that armpit disappears inside. Well, he may have to cross over, rip, and try to get into that armpit to get back up vertical to make sure that he doesn't wind up cut off by the center to get back into that A-gap that he's moving to. And the same thing goes for the defensive end. If the defensive end is short sticking and he's head up, so if he's short sticking to the left, then he's gonna the secondary key for him is going to be the right armpit of the tackle. If that armpit disappears inside, then he's back up vertical right now. If that armpit's out, he may have to fight across the face and continue to climb vertically. The long stick is just a little bit different. Same way, it's still a short, flat step, but it may be more of a shuffle step inside, but he is still going to landmark the armpit of the guard, the near armpit of the guard that he's moving to. Okay, if that guard's at him, he's going to get back up he's going to dip, rip, and get back up the field in the inside armpit of the guard. If that armpit disappears inside, he's flat off his butt. But it's always it always starts with a short, flat step, okay? And the reason we take a short, flat step, again, because if the balls, if you get the blockers coming at you, then that long stick may not be as long as it is if that guy disappears inside. You may have to change direction, get a foot in the ground, and get back upfield, because one thing we don't want to do is get what we call two-hatted. And that means if I'm running the long stick and I'm moving down in the A-gap, I cannot wind up running into or on the other side of the center. And the same thing goes for the nose moving. I cannot wind up down the middle of the guard or on the other side of the guard and get two-hatted. So it always starts with a short, flat step. The second step depends on what your secondary key is doing. If it's at you, I'm back up the field right now. If it disappears inside, then we cross over and we get going and get as fast as we can, either off the hip or off the ass of the guard as soon as possible. I hope that cleared it up for you.
That's awesome. Question: how do you account for a back coming out of the backfield on the pressure side? Does will come off, or does the free safety come all the way down over?
Okay, let's see. How do we account for? I assume they're talking about in Boundary Cyclone 1 green. If we should have one of the inside backers is going to always be accounting for the tailback. So we are not, unless we tag the word peel, no one in the blitz is coming off of anything. The linebacker should take care of the back, either the Mike or the Sam. The Mike's blitzing is going to be the Sam. Is going to be responding. That's really what 1 green tells us, that the Mike and the Sam and possibly the safety could wind up having the tight end and the tailback.
That's awesome, Coach. That brings us to the end of our questions. Coach, we want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge this evening with us. We truly appreciate it. That was awesome.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the confusion earlier. We were a little late.
It's okay. It was great. It was an excellent presentation. We truly appreciate it. Coaches, thanks for joining us this evening. Our next webinar is next Tuesday, the 4th of August. It'll be a wing tee topic coming up here next week. Coaches, thanks again, and everybody have a great rest of their evening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good enough.